I'm Jenny the Sandcastle Girl. I make giant big sandcastles for a living, and I think I started when I was about 2 or 3 years old down on the beach where I grew up in Cottesloe, and now I do it professionally, and I travel the world, go to beaches all over the world and make sandcastles. In the beginning, in the sandcastle community, there weren't that many of us. There's about 10 of us that were doing it, and we decided as a group of people, let's find a sponsor, let's call it the World Championships, let's have a competition. When I went to the World Championships, was in Canada in those days, and it was the very first time that I went. I won 4th place, and for me that was such an amazing achievement, because I had never competed internationally before. I hadn't imagined that I was going to win anything, and the feeling of winning that, although I've many times won first place since, has never really been surpassed, because it was then that they said that I was a master sand sculptor. But it's funny because when I go to see my mum, she's got this big blown up photograph of this really dodgy, crappy castle I did when I first started, and I keep taking new photos to her, and I say, why don't you put this up, why don't you put this up, and she says, no, the best sandcastle you ever made was your first one, because you started really not that well, and now you're like the 4-time world champion or whatever, and this is what's the greatest one, is that very first one when you didn't know what you were doing and you just went for it. The first thing you need to do when you build a sandcastle is have an intention. Decide that you're going to, and remember that part of it is having fun as well. And even now, 25 years on, and I'm doing big sandcastles and they're big budgets, and I might have a team of 7 or something, we always ask each other, are you having fun yet? So remember, it's about having fun. The other really important thing is always use a lot of water. It's only just sand and water, but that means a lot of water. Every sand sculptor has a different tools. A lot of people like using the icing decorating knives, so we call them 3/4 because they're 3/4 big. But everybody gets their own things, and I would suggest if you're making a sandcastle, find your own things. Start with simple stuff like spoons or forks. It's all about imagination. Sometimes I've been at the beach, didn't bring any tools, and I just use rocks and shells that I find on the beach. People often ask me if I draw my work first, and if I'm working in a group with people, I have other sand sculptors or a client who wants to know what the finished product will look like, yes, we will draw it. But we always say the drawing is a guide, and we hope that the sculpture will look better than the drawing. I was very, very lucky to have a son, and I had him quite late. I had a baby when I was 42, but I did have an extra joy as I could bring him down to the beach, and we'd dig a big hole and I'd teach him how to do drip castles, and my son's very good at sandcastles. So my title is Jenny the Sandcastle Girl, and I remember once this little boy said to me, looks more like Jenny the Sandcastle Grandma to me, you know. It's like, how long will I be doing it for? And you know, I just don't think into the future. What I think is every sandcastle I do is going to be my last one. So I try to make it really, really nice, and I go, that's it, this is my last one. And it's kind of like a joke amongst all the people who work for me or people who know me. They go, well, how was your last sandcastle? So if you ask me how long I'm going to be doing it for, just now I'm going to make my last sandcastle on the beach.